Help others. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications.
Today is Sunday, May 25, 2025, and I woke up this morning very early with strange ideas in my mind. Last night I went to sleep hearing the last news from Gaza, the problems that we have in Gaza, the rejection and condemnation of Israel by European countries like Germany that not too long ago, only 75 years ago, massacred 6 million Jews, several million gypsies, labor camps where they worked the laborers, the European laborers, including in Bulgaria, to death. Burned people, gassed people, and now they have the audacity to condemn Israel. We have one of the most moral armies in the world, including more moral than the United States, and definitely the European countries during World War II, and definitely the Americans in Vietnam that napalmed whole villages with children and everybody, just as it said in the movie, I love to smell napalm in the morning. Yeah. So I somehow, maybe by God, was taken back to the book of Genesis. In my mind, I didn't open the book. In my mind, I was taken back to the book of Genesis and asked the $1 million question. Why did God create the world? Why did he create Adam and Eve? The hippopotamus would have gotten very well together with the shark, or the elephant with the donkey. I have videos that animals actually fight to save another animal, not even from their own species. Yes. You can find those on YouTube. And of course, you can find people saving horses and saving baby elephants. And yes, but the human being starts the story of the existence of humanity right after God created the heavens and the earth. Why did God put that cursed tree of knowledge in the garden? Would have been better for us to be ignorant and not sinning. So I decided to ask one of my latest toys. AI stands for Abraham and Israel. For me, at least. You can make it mean whatever you want for you. The Bible starts the book of Genesis with the big problem, with disobedience of Eve, the wife of Adam, that God created specifically for Adam. And why did God put that tree and say you can eat from any tree in the garden, but that tree of knowledge you cannot eat, because if you eat, you will die. And death has all kinds of meanings and ways, even in the Bible. Why did he do that? Well, the answer is usually free will, giving us the quality, the divine quality of free will, of being able to think and to create ourselves, of being able to take 2 or 3 substances that are nothing like each other and create a 4th substance that is brand new on the face of the earth. Man-made substances like plastics and other things, and fossil fuel and computers and AI. Humanity could survive in the Garden of Eden just perfectly if there was no such thing as sin. And we are in the middle of a terrible war in the Middle East, already almost over 600 days, close to 2 years. A war with essentially our cousins, the sons of Ishmael, the sons of Jacob, Esau, part of the Arabs, the Moabites over here across the river Jordan from us, only 60 kilometers away. It's nothing. It's less than an hour's drive to be in Jordan, the land of the Moabites and the Midianites, that are some of those nations over there on the Transjordan are descendants of our cousin Esau, the brother of Jacob, the brother of Israel, if you wish. Hard question to answer. The secret, my secret of understanding that issue comes from the text in chapter 2 that says God is speaking to somebody. I believe it's to Yeshua, to the Messiah. The Jewish rabbinical literatures also believe that it is the Messiah. Speaking to the Messiah, says, let us make men in our form and in our image. Our form and in our image. That form means character, ability, imagination, ability to create things, to invent things. There's no animal except the human animal that can invent things, create new things that never existed before. Yeah. Yes, my dear brothers and sisters. That's the quality, but that's also the quality that brought into the world the ability to think for ourselves, oftentimes with rebellious attitudes, because like God is one, a lot of us sometimes think that we are one and have abilities that essentially makes us human beings. Ability to create, to imagine, to calculate, to plan, to engineer. So what did I do? I asked my latest toy, artificial intelligence, on actually it was originally on my iPhone, while I was still in bed this morning early. And I asked the question of why God created man and put in front of him the ability to sin. The simple answer was free will. A nature that has free will, that can think for itself, that can imagine. The biblical standpoint, God created humanity with the ability to choose, to make decisions, choices. Why? Because without the freedom to imagine and to choose and to make decisions that set our lives on a certain course, good, bad, or indifferent, that ability is a divine ability. Let us make men in our form and in our image. That means that we have some of those divine characteristics that may include such things as hate and envy and competition and greed and right the beginning of the book of Genesis, there we are. All of these things that are wonderful and creative, that makes us human beings, all of these things appear within the first 4 chapters of the book of Genesis. The first story that we hear that is horrible is between 2 brothers, Cain and Abel. Over what did they argue, and over what did they, in the end, one murder the other? Religion. Religion, my dear brothers and sisters. I grew up in a very secular home. My father hated all religions, and especially Orthodox Jews. I don't know what was wrong with them, what he didn't like, but he didn't like them for sure. I could tell you some of the things that he did. He was a man of the world. If he saw an Orthodox Jew sitting on the bus and there's an empty seat behind him, my father would take that empty seat. And the Orthodox Jews have those tassels, tzitzit, that come outside of their pants. He would carefully pull the tassel, tie it around the pipe of the seat, and move to another seat and wait till the Orthodox Jew got up. He couldn't get up. They had to force his way up and tear his tzitzit out, and the whole bus, mostly secular Jews in our neighborhood, would laugh. My father would laugh louder than anybody else. Yeah. So I was raised in that kind of place, home. But when I became a believer in Yeshua, they kicked me out. But I did. They thought I'd fold, that I'd give up my faith, that I confessed that it was a mistake. No. I'm made from the same stuff that my dad was made. And stubbornness is one of those characteristics. So 2 weeks later, after they kicked me out, I was in Valdosta, Georgia, on Highway 75, going north and south, from Florida to the north. I did it. I got to Valdosta, Georgia, and I was educated there. Totally different kind of education. Not from studying chemistry and physics and American history and things like that, but from the president of that high school. Name is Bill Long. May he have a long life. I got the education from him. I could tell you very interesting stories, but that would take me off the subject today. The nature of free will is what AI said was the reason why God put the test to Eve, the wife of Adam, the mother of humanity. She introduced how to fall in the temptation of doing something that was forbidden to do. And we followed. And then the next story, based on envy and religion, envy in religion, for religion, because of religion. That envy brought the first murder in biblical history, where one brother envied the other and killed him. Why? Because God accepted the sacrifice of one and rejected the other because it didn't do exactly what he should have done. Okay, I wasn't satisfied with this answer that evil exists in the world because of free will, knowing that free will is essentially a gift from God to humanity. It's a very important gift. I appreciate the free will. But free will brought the consequences of sin. And how did God that gave free will and put the tree and then ask for, gave the opportunity to thank him and to worship him and to sacrifice to him, how did he react to that murder of a quarter of the world's population according to the book of Genesis? Punished the murderer, as he promised to do. But when we read a little bit further in Genesis, we see how finally he also forgave, redeemed the brother who killed his brother, Cain. Cain that killed his brother Abel in Hebrew, was punished, a horrible punishment, banned from humanity, essentially, if I summarize that punishment. And the story continues. There's not one chapter that somebody sinned and didn't have to pay for it. That's something that we need to internalize in our own lives and make that the paradigm of our life. Good brings good, bad brings bad. Apple tree doesn't grow persimmons or watermelon. And that principle in nature is also a spiritual principle for us. But God responds to human nature that he made, that he gave, continues, and you go to chapter 6 in Genesis, and you read one of the saddest texts in the whole Bible. It says, and God repented that he created men. God repented that he created men. In other words, God confessed in a way that it was a mistake that he created men, because men became so sinful that he had to destroy the world and all of humanity and save only one family. Save only one family. Think about it a minute. I have to tell you a personal story. I was a single child at home. My older sister was 15 years older than me. By the time I became a kid with friends, interests, toys, I was the smallest kid in the neighborhood, the skinniest kid in the neighborhood, and the wildest kid in the neighborhood, because being the smallest and the skinniest and probably the weakest physically, I had to show that I'm somebody, that I'm something. And the way I did it is by being wilder and a little bit more rebellious and a little bit more fearless than the other kids. And that was it. I can tell you many stories about this, of what happened. But I made it. I didn't fall behind, neither in the respect nor in the daring in the whole neighborhood. If somebody had to dare something, there I was. Little Joe. My nickname was Razi, which in Hebrew means skinny. Because if I show you a picture, when I went into the gun club of the paramilitary association in organization in Israel, when I went into the gun club, they took a picture of me with a gun, and later on I got the bronze medal for sharpshooting when I was in the army, not shooting people, but shooting targets. Yeah. So yes, so I had to make it up for being the skinniest and the physically weakest kid in the neighborhood. Yes, but praise God, I discovered Yeshua when I was 16 years old, and I'm now almost 80 years old, and Yeshua is not only my Savior, and not only my teacher, my rabbi, but also my friend. So I have a lot. AI gave me a lot of information. I'm not going to be able to do all that information in one session. I'm jumping a big jump. Down the line from Genesis chapter 2, there is a figure that reappears in the background of everything. And that is that one man that was promised by God to the nation of Israel to, when things get really bad, to redeem humanity. That promise is, if you read between the lines from Genesis 2, it's promised to Abraham, it's promised to Isaac, it's promised to Jacob, it's promised to King David, it's promised. by the prophets. We call him the Messiah, the Anointed One. Or the Angel of the Lord. Another one of this title, messianic titles. The Angel of the Lord. But then I have to jump a long way forward, and then we have the church, born, a community of sanctified individuals. That's what the church is. People that were normal, sinners, people that were far from God, rebellious, Jews and Gentiles. And God, who promised Israel, I want to make that clear. He didn't promise the Messiah to the world. Yeshua is not a citizen of the world. In some ways he is, but not literally. He is born a Jew, circumcised on the 8th day, buried in a Jewish grave, resurrected in a Jewish land, returning to that same land, the land of Israel, to the Mount of Olives, overlooking Jerusalem. When his rocket or spaceship lands there, I probably can see it from my porch, even though I'm about 18 kilometers away, probably around 12 miles away from there. Okay, so I'm continuing because I want to finish this situation. Yeshua was promised already in the book of Genesis. If you know Hebrew, you could find it. It was promised to Abraham that by his seed, all the nations will be blessed. The whole world will be blessed. The seed of Israel, child of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, and David, is that seed that promised Abraham that all the nations will be blessed by that seed. I'm jumping a big jump ahead. We're living now 2,000 years plus from the Passover, in which Yeshua was the Lamb of God that was sacrificed to atone for the sins of the world. On the Jewish Passover, by Roman soldiers. Jews talk a lot, but they're not murderers and killers. You say, well, now in the war with Gaza, you're killing people. Yes, we are. We have to. Because if we didn't have the ability to defend ourselves, there would be not one Israeli alive left. If the Hamas would have won this battle, this war. Yes. This is mine, Candy. It's getting long, and I don't want to continue it more than 30 minutes, which means that I will stop here and continue from here on, talking about the role of the church. The role of the church. The church also there, by the way. The church also, by the way, started in Israel and will end in Israel. When the Lord comes down, it will be in Israel, on the Mount of Olives. I can see it, the edge of it from my porch, even though I'm miles away. Yes, dear brothers and sisters, I will go back the second chapter to this Mind Candy, and it will be called The Role of the Church in the Redemption of Men and Redemption of the World. I will continue from there. For now, God bless all of you, but I want you to do some homework. You think. You sit on the couch or on a chair or on the ground if you wish. You ask yourself why God created men. What was the purpose of God creating men? He could have had a wonderful world with lions, hippopotamus, giraffes, camels, rats, mice, snakes, elephants, whales in the sea. No, he chose to create men. You and me, folks. It's up to us. It's up to us individually. Don't look at the church as a collective that speaks for all of us, thinks for all of us, decides what is true for all of us. No. Each one of us is responsible. I'm responsible for Joseph. And a little bit for Marcia and Barry and Beth and Netivyah and Yuda and Daniel and Nir and people in all the way to Papua, Indonesia and Brazil and Bulgaria and Finland and also some in the United States. Yeah, I'm responsible. I feel like a spiritual father to many around the world. And they think that I am. They don't know me well enough yet. But yes, we'll talk about this big question, the elephant in the room, in the next session of Mind Candy. God bless all of you.
Help others, like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications.